All right, guys, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Got that week 2 action here for you. Going to do a quick recap in this video, but also we're going to touch on 2 running backs that you just cannot pass up on this week's slate. One running back that's a little bit too cheap. A receiver that is going to be a lock play depending on another player that is in the offense with him, if he's inactive or active. And then we're also going to touch on 2 tight ends, deciding between which one to play and which one to sit. It's going to be a tough decision. We make that here in this video. All right, doing that quick recap for you guys. It was a pretty good week. Later on in the week, we figured out to go with Alvin Kamara, just based on the news that was coming out with those running backs being inactive or not being on the team. They were cut. He was going to be pretty much the only one active, him and Mike Gillislee, so that made it easy play for Alvin Kamara. We locked him in. Also locked in James Conner. You know, that was just going to be an easy play. I said if he was going to be starting, you just lock him in. Rob Gronkowski was another lock play we told you guys about. Tyreek Hill was a lock play that we got on later on in the week, as you see in the lineup here. So that brings me up to a point. Obviously, I started this video early on in the week, and then I developed my strategy, developed my core a little bit deeper, a little bit more concentrated. So that makes me come up with the idea of maybe starting a Patreon page. Let me know if you guys would like that option. You know, it'd be like a core video on Sunday morning that you guys could watch and use as a tool to see who you should be dialing in on for that week. It'd be NBA DFS, NFL DFS, obviously, you know, PGA DFS. Maybe I'd have some more videos for those of you who play fantasy football and need some certain lineup questions answered. But let me know if you guys like that option. I appreciate it. Let's get into this week's video though. All right, kicking it off with the quarterback position here. Lots of quarterbacks that you can stack, and you probably should be stacking this week. The first one that I like the most is going to be Phillip Rivers. You look at what Joe Flacco did against the Buffalo Bills last week. You know, he threw for 3 touchdowns and 252 yards in a blowout. If it was a little bit closer of a game, you know, he probably would have thrown for more. So obviously, Phillip Rivers has better targets. He's a better quarterback than Joe Flacco, so I really do like that pick. I think he's a nice, safe cash play if you can fit him into your build. A nice tournament play is going to be Big Ben. Last week he struggled. I mean, he threw a ton of picks, but he's still ended up with 19 DK points. We know he's a lot better at home. And then he's going against the defense last week that gave up over 400 passing yards. So, I mean, that's a nice spot for you to target. Another tournament option for you is going to be Nick Foles. You know, he looked rough in that Thursday night game, but he's going against the Falcons, who are a pretty good defense, and I think he's going to have a little bit more chemistry with a couple of other receivers I'll touch on in the video later on. And then the last quarterback I'm going to touch on is going to be Mitchell Trubisky. It was a tale of 2 quarters, 2 halves for him. The first quarter, he was looking elite, and then the next 3, he was looking like his old self again. But, you know, Matt Nagy's a good coach. The play script was working well for him in the first quarter. He kind of got away from it, but he is going against a defense that Case Keenum threw for 333 yards and 3 TDs, so I do like that. The Seahawks are not the defense that they used to be, so those are all going to be good options for you. All right, getting to the running backs here for you. I'm going to start off by saying Kareem Hunt. He's a little bit too priced. I do think he's going to do a lot better this week, so if you want to go with him, I do not mind that option. Did not include him in the video here. I'm going to start out with Alvin Kamara here. You know, he's going against the Browns, who James Conner just tore up. And obviously, you know, Alvin Kamara is a great option for PPR. That makes him very safe. Todd Gurley is another running back that I really like. If you're paying up for running backs, you could possibly pay for these 2. It's a little bit harder, but you can definitely do it. He's going up against the defense that ranks 32 against the running back after 1 game. You know, that defense gave up almost 50 points against Chris Thompson and Adrian Pearson, so I do like that. You combine those 2, and that's kind of how you get Gurley's workload. You can do it all, so I do like that option. And then, you know, dipping a little bit lower, Alfred Morris is definitely too cheap. Matt Breida is a little bit too cheap as well. He's in the 4K range. So whichever one you want to go with here, you're kind of trying to predict game script. I think the San Francisco 49ers are going to be playing from the lead, or it's going to be a little bit of a closer game, so I do think Morris is going to be the option in that game. So I do like that. He's too cheap. Deion Lewis, though, he's going to be a nice safe cash option for me. Derrick Henry didn't look good. That whole offense did not look good. I think that they'll be playing from behind in this game, which means Deion Lewis will get the work. Some other running backs that you could target are being Corey Clement. I think that's a nice little tournament stacking option for you. He's pass catching back, and, you know, they could be down in this game. Then James Conner, you know, ride the hot hand with him. Those backups to Le'Veon Bell have always been pretty good. You know, they only average like 3 less fantasy points per game, so I do not mind that option as well. All right, getting to receivers here. There's a ton of receivers you could go with this week. Definitely a lot of stacking options to go with those quarterbacks that I mentioned earlier. But we're going to start off with Antonio Brown. He has a nice, easy matchup going against that Kansas City defense. That is not going to be a good defense this year. This is definitely one that you can target. I think Antonio Brown is going to score 20 fantasy points this game. I really do like him in cash and tourney if you can fit him in there. And then Keenan Allen is another play that I do really like. It's going to be another cash option for you. I mentioned how much I like Phillip Rivers, so obviously I'd like Keenan Allen. It's going to be a nice, safe cash option for you as well. And then two kind of tournament options. Well, Dante Pettis, he could be a cash option. If Goodwin is out, lock Dante Pettis into your cash. He is only 4K right now, so I do like that. And then honestly, if Goodwin's playing, he's a little bit too cheap too. You saw the Detroit Lions defense get tore up by the New York Jets. San Francisco's offense is a lot better. Jimmy G didn't actually look that bad. He had a couple drop touchdown passes in the end zone. Could not be a bad option for you as well. Mike Wallace, though, he's going to be a tournament option. He's priced under 4K, so he's a nice value option for you. He did have a couple of plays that Nick Foles missed him on that would have been touchdowns. So that's kind of what we're hoping for here. Let's hope that Nick Foles can connect with him in the end zone. And then there's also going to be some more receivers that I'm looking at. Michael Thomas, he seems like a nice, safe play. DeAndre Hopkins, nice, safe play. I do think Jarvis Landry is going to be the cash play here, and Josh Gordon is going to be the tournament play for the Cleveland Browns. Tyreek Hill, he's a little bit too cheap for me as well. I think he's going to continue his dominance. He was actually really consistent last year, and I think that he'll keep that up again this year. I'm getting into the Phillip Dorsett, though. So my thinking here is going to be that the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously they have two really good cornerbacks. I think one of them will be on Rob Gronkowski, and I think the other one will be on Chris Hogan. That will leave Phillip Dorsett kind of to operate how he wants. And, he could be running some of those routes towards the middle, which will just be successful. Obviously, you're taking the two best corners out, and then you leave Phillip Dorsett, who looked really good last week, so I do like that option as well. And then Nelson Aguilar, he just saw a ton of targets, ton of receptions. I think he'll be a nice, safe cash play for you if you're believing in the Nick Foles hype that I'm promoting. So really not a bad option here. Too many good options for the wideouts this week. All right, get into the cash options here at tight end. That's right, I said cash options at tight end. There's two really good ones. You could go with Jared Cook, who's the first really good option for you, going against Denver. And the reason why I wanted to attack Nick Vannett last week is because the Denver Broncos are bad against tight ends. So it wasn't him and being a different tight end that had scored a big, long touchdown, had a really good night. But Jared Cook obviously had that good night on Monday Night Football. He was just tearing it up, had over 30 DK points, had exactly 30 DK points. So I do like him again this week. He's a little bit too cheap because he played in that Monday night game. DraftKings couldn't price him correctly. Then Jack Doyle, he's just going to be a nice, safe cash option for you. Not too bad of a matchup, but it's one I would not typically, target. But he did see 10 targets in that game, so I do like that. Ricky Seals-Jones. If you're going with the tight end, I think it's going to be him. You look at how the Oakland Raiders decided to attack the Los Angeles Rams. That was through the middle. That was by using the tight end. And I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to try to do that again. He did have 7 targets, and he also did have a touchdown pass that was dropped. It was a little bit low. Sam Bradford threw a bad ball, so I do not mind Ricky Seals-Jones again this week. He was the third receiving option in that offense. And then Neil Sterling, I like to give you guys a cheap tight end option, and that's going to be him. He did see the most plays out of all the Jets tight ends, and they're looking to use their tight end, so I don't mind him as an option as well. All right, just touching on defense here. You could go with the New York Jets. They did look good, but I think that was more fluky. The Oakland Raiders, they've been a good defense. They kind of shut down the Rams for a while. I do think, I think they're going to be a solid defense this year. The Minnesota Vikings, that's only if Aaron Rodgers is out or if he's going to be, that's only going to be if he's out. And then the Los Angeles Chargers and the Los Angeles Rams, they both have good matchups. They both have matchups you can exploit. The Chargers are a little bit cheaper going against the Bills. Obviously, that's a matchup that we want to attack, so we're going to go with that. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let's get those green screens rolling again this week. Going to be a good week. As always, give me a like and subscribe. I always do appreciate it. Thank you.